Alright, and welcome back to another episode of Universal Deutschland. Jumping into the middle of a build here today, because I accidentally deleted the first about 5 minutes worth of footage used in this video, and because it's gone, it's just gone. But that's fine, we'll make do with what we have. Still a decent length one. We're starting work over here today on the actual Flight of the Vampires ride. You'll notice that there is the big castle is kind of in the background there. That is part of the footage that I lost. It's the same one used in the original video for Flight of the Vampires on my channel. A little bit of touch up here and there to make it a bit more usable in this space, but nothing major. But what you are seeing me work on the terrain for right now is a brand new section of the ride that was not in the original video that helps extend the length of the ride a bit, as well as just overall make it a bit more fun, lets me have more theming elements, and really push this park to its limits on what it's going to be. And with that really just comes trying to make sure that every inch of the park, ride, area, queue, all of that has to be as good as I can do. You know, some things are gonna look goofy, you know, there's no doubt about that. I'm not the best builder in this game, though I like to think I can make some pretty decent looking things. And that's why I started this series ultimately, is I wanted to share my creative ideas, and I wanted to get better at building. And a way for me to continually get better is just to keep trying it, trying new things, hearing feedback from the community, all sorts of wonderful little things like that. The expansion here to Flight of the Vampires did make me redesign the whole staff entrance and kind of how the little courtyard up here on the raised area was laid out, as originally it was going to have a much more connected slope to the rest of the area. Now it's going to be a bit more closed off, making it maybe kind of off in the woods, as the original Flight of the Vampires did have the Bat Lake overlook, which was a section off to the side of the ride where you could kind of eat and look at the ride in a bit more peace. But with this new area being bigger and more less connected, I think I'll probably end up putting that there just so that it kind of fills out the space better. I also had to take away that original overlook area I was talking about for the ability to fit the Phantom Speeder just off to the side. You won't be getting a POV of the ride in this video because I want to have the music for the ride done. The voiceover may take some extra time that won't be in that initial POV. I'm not quite settled on that just yet. But the important part is actually just getting it all together for me. The story is there. The general idea that I'll let through here is that you have been invited to Dracula's castle under the idea that you're going to get to fly with these vampires and see that they're not so bad, but ultimately the guests and the riders will learn that it was nothing but a trick by Dracula to get more servants to his name. But fun little thing to work with. We have these kind of carriages that are the idea of how the vampires are flying you. You know, they're just carrying it. And that's going to go through the main areas of the ride before we end up in that underground area you saw me building, which is going to be the catacombs, where he'll show his true intentions and you'll see all the brides trying to feast on you, that kind of stuff. Right in this area here, just building up what's referred to as redemption, which is where your express passes or your AAP would end up being checked for the final time and validated. This is just before the lockers. We have a door off to the side because the rest of the queue, as you saw, does have stairs, so if you can't do stairs after this first elevator, you take that door and you go up the exit ramp to get to the appropriate side of the ride track. That way, when you get off, your wheelchair or whatever mobility device you use is still right there, easily accessible. Coming in, adding some lighting to the area, just really trying to sell it. I had these little support beams with the lights on them originally because I planned to top-down light everything like I did in the rest of the queue. But with how small this room is and the ride track being right below it, that doesn't end up working as well, so I will come back and add wall lighting, a bit more similar to the catacombs section, or the little catacomb section below this. Something you do see in the background, I don't know if I've really discussed this much about the park, is there's an elevator there, and like I was saying a minute ago, because of the stairs, I want to have the park seemingly be at least as realistically disabled friendly as possible. As someone who has to use a wheelchair themselves quite often, it can be really intense going to these theme parks when the services aren't properly set up. That's not something I want to happen with this park, even though there isn't disabled people or people who can't do stairs in Planet Coaster. I want it to feel like we're designing the real park here and not just one that works in-game. It's kind of that pretend realism. It's not crazy, but it is there. I mean, obviously I don't know how big an elevator shaft has to be to fit an elevator. I'm not sure the legal requirements on that in America, let alone in another country. And trying to sift through all the documentation for a small feature like that, I'm not too worried about. We will be getting into that kind of stuff more frequently with our staff areas, requirements for them in the back lots and all that. Coming back, adding a new staircase, because we have to get from lockers up to the top floor here. This is going into the final section of Q. I really like how the little wall I built up here in a moment comes out. The archway is probably one of the better ones I've made. I think the footage is in here, but I end up putting a whole little tunnel around that staircase, but we'll have to see when we get there. But I suppose I can talk a little more on the land as a whole now that we've continued to build it and people are starting to get to see kind of the ideas we have here. First, I don't want to talk about that. I needed this very specific path size there, so I used props to measure the distance and then the edit tool on the path just to get the exact right size. Anyways, but the park and this specific land, with Flight of the Vampires, once this is nice and good, we'll probably switch between this and some of the other areas and rides as well, but once this is really good, we're going to be switching over and working on the other ride, which was the Swamp Thing attraction. Or at least that's currently the plan. It may end up being something different overall. Right here, I'm just adding in another support to this section because I realize it's not quite as supported as it probably needs to be. My custom supporting work is really just kind of guessing. I don't, guessing and like looking at pictures, but I don't really understand all the exact science behind it. I get forces, pulling, pushing, all that kind of stuff. Really, I'm just in here to make, again, that thing that looks pretty, but looks like it could be realistic, maybe with a few adjustments here and there. Adding in the paths that go around there to just kind of help keep the terrain in control. And then coming back through and adjusting the lighting before we update the track here. Originally the block section was just before the station, so the switch track could be pushed back. Instead I've moved both the block station and the switch track back a bit, just so that everything fits into the area a bit better and keeps some distance between the front car, or the train and station, and the train pulling in from route. Adding a support here for the chain lift. Again, my custom supporting is not anything crazy, but it's just something to kind of hold that spot. A little update to the terrain there. Realize I should probably have the exit stairs there be the other side because of the big pit. And then finally coming back to work on this little basement area for the ride. Adding in just a roof here. I normally just roof with path pieces because it allows me to draw this shape really easy, not have any issues, it's less intensive on the game, all that kind of stuff. But I came in with the pieces here because I needed that extra light bleed prevention that you get from these corners. You get a little bit more bleed from pathing than props, but it normally doesn't matter for me. Jumping in now to actually just build the walls though, kind of get the idea for the possible shape here, what we're going to have to hide behind all this kind of little just detailing. But we're going to be having staff areas as well as restaurants back up in here, maybe a gift shop or two, so that'll really be some buildings we would have to hide the backsides of anyways, so might as well utilize the whole space. This has actually become one of my favorite techniques recently when building rides with dark sections, or even just dark rides in general, is the humble black curtain. Something that definitely gets used a lot in theme parks, just to kind of block off areas you're not supposed to see, or to prevent light bleed between areas. One of my favorite examples of these massive amounts of curtains are it's on Monsters Unchained. You can actually find the lights on POV, now that that's recently been posted by somebody, and just see how much they really use these black curtains to ensure you're only able to see just what just what they want you to see. Checking light levels, all that kind of stuff. I do have to come back in here a few times and edit this, as originally I had these curtains on mounts from the ceiling, or I'm sorry, from the floor. I'm eventually going to change that to mounts from the ceiling. Easier just to put it on the ceiling there and have no issues. There's why I come back, remove those paths to put roofs there because of the light bleed, and I add in this little bit of extra just light blocking before we finally get to start theming this first section of the catacombs. Going with a simplistic but ornate looking wall to kind of sell that idea to it, but I'm not sure how much I like this once they all get placed in. You'll see it's a little too repetitive. I'll probably have to add just some different shapes or symbols or something. Because really, you see this, you're going by fairly quickly, but it's still enough time to be like, hey, that's just the same wall placed over and over again, especially if you're going to ride the ride multiple times. Coming in though, more black curtains, because I'm not going to need the front space, or the upper space there. Might as well just block it off, make it all easy, before adding that little sideways one that just says, hey, you know, you can't see over that either. While I'm not happy with the rest of this part of the build, I am happy with how this part of it particularly turned out. This is going to be a door, because I didn't want to use the standard gate door. As you can see, it clips through the tracks. So instead, I made this door that wraps around the tracks using the Viking plank walls and the counter motion trick I showed off in my Dance Macabre ride system. And then I'm coming in now to add the building around it, kind of making it look like maybe it was a little gardening shed that has the entrance to hides one of the entrances to the catacombs, keeps the light out, that kind of stuff. This is where we'll enter the final lift hill for our more climactic ending, because again, Flight of the Vampires is a dual lift hill single track coaster, but that gives it the dueling feeling when you're flying past the other car. Unlike needing two stations and two tracks like the old Dueling Dragons at Islands of Adventure, or even the new Stardust Racers at Epic Universe. Final little thing here before we head into our real time is just some lighting for the end of the ride. And but yeah, with that, I'm going to leave you to Real Time Amelia, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Alright, and welcome to the real time. First thing we're going to be showing off in our real time here is the new lighting at the end, that last little bit we were working on. Overall, you can see the lighting in this area has improved wonderfully from the first video I showed off of Flight of the Vampire. But, oh, there it goes. The lights hadn't turned on yet. But now, as the ride comes through, you can see at the end of the ride, we have this nice, bright flashing before it fades back to purple. The purple, red, and greenish color scheme that was kind of shown at the front of the park is also here because I think it just fits really well. Let's get into some of those things that changed since the last time you guys were here, though, and because I lost footage. Our gift shop is now no longer in a straight line from the exit to the front of the ride, in front of the building again. We now have this jetted out sideways path where the photos will be here, gifts will be here. This allows us to expand this queue right here. That way we can fit some more guests, as we're going with a much more realistic expectation of queue space. Every guest requires about 4 square feet of space, and we want roughly an hour and a half to be our maximum wait. Currently, we are running at, I believe it's 36 riders every 57 seconds, which isn't bad. It puts our throughput not terrible, but it does mean we need a decent bit of queue space in that tiny, tiny building. We'll go in, we'll show off the locker change. So, excuse me, let's just go ahead and turn off in-game audio as the ride audio is playing right now. It's also out of sync because I've sped up time. Anyways, so as you come up the stairs here, it's not nighttime, so I don't think those lanterns will be on. There we go. So as you come into here, you can see we come up to our redemption kiosk, our ADA guest elevator, and or in our standby queue, right up to here where we have the double-sided lockers. These are connected on the exit ramp. This side isn't done yet, but you'd grab your item and then you'd continue out. If you are in a wheelchair or some mobility device and you can't do the rest of the stairs here, you'll come this way and the staff member will lead you through this door, and you'll be told to head up these stairs, which will get you back where you want to be, because this is the exit of the ride. The exit of the ride allows you to get out of your chair, leave it here, and then when you're done, you get onto the elevator and go right down to the bottom. We also do have the new basement section and the changes to this overlook area here. We're going to have some shops here, which is why this terrain is cut out like this, but now instead of being a slope up this way, you're now going to have to come all the way around and go up this side, where we're going to then have maybe some shops, staff areas, that kind of stuff. Originally, the Flight of the Vampire staff area was actually hidden up here in this, 5th story. I'll probably leave that space open still, because you can see it is used for the main room here. But I can put some stuff up here. I can put storage, that kind of stuff. And then in our little catacombs section, the new basement section of the ride, we just have the start of the theming here, where we're going to have rides, on the walls, on the floor. They're all going to be reaching out to feast on you as Dracula finally reveals his true plans and getting more servants. But that is mostly it. We have some little things here and there, like a new fence. You guys saw this section where the queue will be expanded in the speed build. But besides that, I really think that's about it. I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Cheers.